Have you ever felt like no matter what you do, money just doesn't flow to you? You're doing everything right, you're healing, you're manifesting, you're aligning, but you just always feel a bit stuck. There's a reason, and no, you are not broken. It might just be that there's a part of your birth chart that is holding your power, and it's the part of you that you're afraid to look at. Welcome, I'm Katerina, and this is the beginning of something deeper. I help high achieving, soul led women like you to unlock their financial abundance using their birth charts, walking in their shadow work, and reclaiming their feminine power. This is not surface astrology. This is soul, wealth, alchemy. And today we begin in the place that is my favorite place, which is the eighth house. The eighth house is one of I believe, the most misunderstood places in a birth chart. It rules death and rebirth. It rules power, sensuality, joint finances, and the most important one of them all, shadow. But this is also the place that has the unspoken blocks to your wealth. If you've ever felt afraid to fully receive, if you find yourself either financially dependent or hyper independent, if you crave power but fear what you will lose, your eighth house is kind of where we need to ask those questions. For years, I carried this deep, painful belief that I thought nothing would ever work out for me. It was like a deep in my gut. I always used to say, oh, everything works out for me. I'll be fine. I know I'll be fine. But deep down, there was this fear where I thought I was being left out. I'd pour effort into my goals, my businesses, my life, my body, and still I felt like I was stuck. I felt like I was behind a wall watching everyone else move forward with their lives. And I was there. And I was like, hey, don't forget about me. Please don't forget about me. I saw other people get results. They would launch something and get clients. They would work out and transform their bodies. I did everything right. I followed the guidebook that everyone else was following. And nothing ever happened. I didn't realize I was in this pattern until I started looking at my birth charts. I realized after looking at my birth chart that it was a blueprint to my life. The answers. It was the wounds and the healing all in one. And I realized I had an eighth house stellium, and I realized walking through the fire was not optional. My abundance was never going to come through surface level work. I had to have my own death and rebirth. I had to have my soul transformation. And once I accepted that, once I stopped resisting the shadows of myself, I softened into it. My life began to shift, and not this one day I wake up and my whole life has changed. It was grounded, it was stable, it was internal before it became physical. I found a rhythm. I stopped chasing. And for the first time in years, and I'm not being dramatic when I say this, I literally felt like I could breathe. I found my purpose through my chart. I found my healing through my chart. And it was like, for the first time ever, I felt understood. And I realized I felt understood by myself because I never fully did. If this video has so far ignited something within you, then I invite you to start this deep journey within yourself. It is my 5-day shadow wealth portal. It is completely free. We begin in the 8th house, of course. You'll have prompts catered to your chart, and you don't need to push it. You don't need to force it. It will come to you when you are ready. The link is below for that. So your 8th house is shaped by the sign who rules it, and this adds depth to your story. For me, my 8th house is ruled by Virgo in the Placidus system, but all my planets are in Libra. That means that I've had to navigate layers of like perfectionism, overthinking, wanting to always be right, with a deep pattern around approval, self-worth, letting other people's ideas of me lead. I had to like untangle my worth from performance, from being liked, from trying to appear balanced and put together, even literally when I was burnt out underneath. And I never let myself have room and space for healing. So maybe your 8th house is ruled by Scorpio, which means there might be some secrecy there. There might be some power dynamics, might be a fear of being vulnerable and wanting to control the situations. Or maybe you have it in Taurus, and that brings like a comfortability, a stability, the good and the bad of that. Each ruling sign kind of reveals like your access point, your like shadow self. And your chart, it's not blocking you. Your chart, I always say this, your chart is your answer. It is your wound and your answer. It is your shadow and your light. So here's what I want you to remember. If you've been pushing, forcing, or punishing yourself, this is your permission to stop that. Wealth is not meant to be chased. And especially for those of us with 8th house energy, the answer is not to do more. The answer is never to do more in a lot of things. But the answer is to go deeper within yourself. Those triggers that you feel when you go and spend something that you weren't expecting, a moment when you getting paid comes late, that fear there, that's the thing that you need to go deeper in. And it is scary, and I have procrastinated a lot on that. But as soon as I did it, as soon as I opened up those wounds, I felt like I have genuinely found myself in this process. So I want you to ask yourself today these 2 questions. Who am I still being that is afraid of wealth? And who do I need to become to feel safe receiving it? If this video ignited something within you, I invite you to my 5-day wealth portal. It is the soft beginning to this journey. And drop in the comments your 8th house sign. And if you have a stellium in the 8th house, we're in this together. And if it feels like a full body yes to subscribe, then I welcome you, but only if you really want to go deep in this journey. We are just getting started and I am very excited. So